feeling?
Nervous.
Have you ever done anything like this
No,
before?
I'm not someone who likes to be on camera either, so I'm just a bit like,
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Stephanie. I'd love to hear a little bit more about where you're at, your journey this far, and what are your hopes? What are you looking forward to in the future of your career?
yeah, for sure. So I am a graphic designer. I work in-house for a hospitality and hotel company. I've been designing for about 3 years now, graphic design. I actually used to be an interior designer. So
Oh, wow.
moved overseas and COVID happened and yeah, decided to transfer my skills to something else.
Gotcha.
But yeah, yeah, I'm self-taught for the most part. Some of my skills were transferable from interiors, but mostly self-taught. Yeah.
That's great. What's your plans? Like, do you do, and do you do like freelance on the side, or is it your 9 to 5 solely? What's a typical week or month look like for you?
I'm hoping to pick up some more freelance work. I want to do more work
Hmm.
that aligns more with my views and my I don't know, just more exciting work. Because
Gotcha.
a lot of the work that I do in house is ads or presentation decks or like that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'd really love to get into more illustration work.
Great. That's great. So
Yeah.
finding that it doesn't allow you to exercise all the fun things that you want to do, you're trying to find something to do here that's a little bit different and kind
Yeah,
of
to push
fits your
myself as
needs.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because I also am the only graphic designer and I've never really had a senior above me. So I kind
Wow.
of need to
Okay.
push myself.
You're not alone. You're not alone. A lot of designers in that same zone, which is interesting. And then the combination of you being self-taught with that too really tells a lot about, your determination and the fact that I love your work. When you sent your resume in and your portfolio, I was like, oh gosh, she's the first one we're going to do. Because I really love seeing great design, particularly from self-taught folks. It's such a
Oh,
unique
thank
thing.
you. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
lovely. Thank you.
Do you find any challenges or anything in kind of selling yourself as a designer? You know, just being comfortable. I know we were talking about like being on camera and other things like that, or promoting yourself. What kind of challenges have you had in the past?
Yeah, confidence is a big one.
Hmm.
And I also find I'm not always great at explaining my work. But
Yeah,
that also doesn't help that I often don't get a solid brief before I begin a project.
yeah,
So I kind of don't know where to start and where to go from there. Um, but yeah.
cool. How about when you were putting your portfolio together that we'll take a look at in a second? What kind of did you have any kind of like requirements or necessary things that you wanted to come across to the viewer when you were putting this together and organizing it?
Yeah, so I found it really hard to kind of pick through all the work that I've done and find things that I could put together and have a
Yeah,
consistent like case study. A lot of the things I do are just like a one-off and it's kind of disjointed and
yeah,
that's kind of something that I really struggle with.
yeah.
So like what can you tell a story about for something that's, just a single illustration or a single icon? Um, yeah, it's just been a bit tough.
Were you open to embellishing things and making like if you only had a little thing and you did want to turn it into something bigger, did you take that initiative in any of the stuff that you highlight?
I don't think I have yet, but I should.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely need to.
Yeah. Because it's true. Like I think when I'm talking to designers that are putting this together, and I even have to tell myself this sometimes, if you have something really great and there is no case study for it or it's not being highlighted, it's okay to broaden that thing and make it a bigger kind of like opportunity to show off something that you did, you know?
Yeah, I think another issue I have is losing interest. Like I get
Yeah.
started on something and I get really excited about it, and then when it comes to, I'm just like, well, do I really love it enough to put the work in?
Yeah. Yeah. And then what does that spark you to do something new?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Yeah.
Or focus on something different. Like I'm just like everywhere.
Good. So before we get into it, last question on what we're going to take a look at. What percentage of what's on your portfolio is actual work or project work that you did as a passion project? Give me an idea of what we're going to see.
I
Is this
actually think
real? Is it
it's all real work.
okay?
Um,
Perfect.
on my Instagram, I have more work that's it's a small passion project or just like a one like illustration work, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, for my portfolio, it's all real work. There's one thing, there's a poster on there that was just like a competition entry, which wasn't paid work, obviously, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect. All right, cool. Let's take a look at it. Well, first of all, tell us like expectations. What did you want people to feel when they got to your website and just looked here? Like, give me some
I
adjectives. What were you
ooh,
hoping for?
fun, interesting, like something different, like unique, I think.
Hmm.
Unique is probably the word that I'd go for. Like I don't want it
Yeah.
to look like everything else. Um, yeah, and I've had a hard time putting together things that look good on the same screen together. Um,
Gotcha.
like I know these kind of look a little disjointed, but
But I
yeah.
think your delivery here, by just setting up, a common size, right, for your
Hmm.
tiles, the fact that when you roll over, it turns to your brand colors, right, and you've got that in there. That's a great way to make maybe projects that don't look a lot alike, gives them some synergy. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Which is great. And I didn't catch that at all. Like when I first looked at it, I thought there was a good synergy here.
Oh,
And
great.
it looks like you get to pick and choose, you know, some unique stuff here. And I love that idea of being able to choose the things that you kind of want to have on there. And like that gives you an ability to tell the person looking at this what kind of work you possibly might want in the future, right?
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think it comes across great. Where do you want to start? I'm curious. What project is the one you want to kind of
Oh,
begin with here?
okay. Um, let's start with the menu. Top right.
Okay, here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about this. How did it come your way? And what was
Okay.
your scope of work here?
So I actually used to serve at this restaurant a few years back. My husband now
That's
works there.
awesome. Great.
But they had a Canva menu and we were asking for years, like, do you want me to just have a go at it? And they finally came around. So the food menu's in process, but yeah, so they didn't have any brand guidelines. They just had a logo. So I took the logo and yeah, pulled some colors and the illustrations are all based on items that are behind the bar at this venue. So I managed to incorporate them in there too.
That
Yeah.
is great. And all custom illustrations from you?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That is so
Thank
great.
you.
I like this idea that you took an opportunity of a place of employment, a missed opportunity maybe on their side, and what was the reaction when you showed this to them? I'm curious.
Oh, well, so this wasn't the first run. So at first they were
Let's be
undecided on,
honest. Yeah.
no, of course not.
Right.
They wanted to, so the drink menu was originally like four laminated pages
Ah, yeah.
separately. And so I really wanted to consolidate them. Um, but yeah, it was between this and like the portrait menu.
Hmm.
I just had to convince them to spend the money on the booklets. So that happened,
Good.
which was nice.
Any tips there on how you were able to get them to kind of see the value in maybe, investing a little bit in that?
Well, I showed them some examples. So I used the same booklets that we purchased for a different project that I work did in-house.
Great.
Um, and they saw the quality of it. They saw how good it looked, having everything in one place. It's consistent design, and I think that sold them pretty easily.
Good. That's fantastic. Any ideas or plans to maybe expand on this or continue working with them, or do you feel like it's kind of said and done?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've already revised it once for the winter, and I've got the food menus in the works. They've just kind
Great.
of been a bit slow because there's just been some issues on their side, having time to actually look at them and review and everything.
Nice. What
So hopefully in
advice
the
would you
next
give
couple of
to
months.
what advice would you give to someone who is in that same situation where maybe they work at a place or a friend or family does and they want to approach them to maybe help show off some better design? Like what advice would you give someone that's a little
I would
hesitant
say
to
just
do
book
that?
something up. Just
Mm,
start. Just do
perfect.
something quickly, and if they like the direction that you're going in, they'll likely take you on. And
I love it.
yeah,
That's great. Great answer. Where to next? What do you want to take a look at?
Ooh, okay. How about Electric Wolf? So,
Electric Wolf. Oh
middle,
yeah.
yeah, that one there.
I could just tell from this image. One, I'm gonna like it, but two, I have to go here. This is so great. I love
Thank
this.
you.
All right, so tell us about how this came your way. What did you do?
Okay, so this is one that I worked on in-house. It's a cafe in Canmore. They originally, so the actual purpose of the cafe it's changed multiple times. So it was going to be an ice cream shop for a while. It's going to be a donut shop. Ended up being a cafe.
Nice.
Yeah, so the all of the little icons, they actually came after the fact, but we just wanted to have like a point of difference to sell the brand, give it a little bit more personality. Yeah, and just tie everything together.
That is so great. I absolutely love those little icons. This is such a cool little capture. If also like this is all you get to do for a client, to turn it into a case study and, add a few things like the business cards, the stickers, maybe some merch that the brand might want to do. It really shows the vibe here, which is really, really cool. So do they use this, like, is this the official logo here, or is it more, did you have like a series of logos for them?
That was the official logo. There's a little icon that we also use, but I don't love it as much. I just found
Yeah.
it like looking back on what I did, I think I would have provided some more options just because
Yeah.
having a centered logo in that shape, it just is kind of restrictive. So we've ended up taking the header font and using that as a logo as well. Like
Yes.
just putting Electric Wolf into that font and it works pretty well.
Like
Yeah,
right
that's
here,
up there.
right? Yeah.
But yeah, I still like the logo as a whole. It's a bit fun.
It's really fun. It does have a really good, I like the kind of almost yin and yang of what's happening with the one on the window and some of the ones that you're using here. I would say if like your Electric Wolf set and type was a little bit, had more character in the font, then there would be a clash. But it kind of feels like they go together because the one on the window has all the personality, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. What advantage do you feel? Because so many of listeners, so many people I talk to are graphic designers that really do have great illustration skills. Have you seen that be a value, and how do you use that to your advantage when you're talking to maybe someone that you want to work with?
Honestly, I haven't really come across it yet, like where I need
Okay.
to do that. I think most of the work that I've done so far, sorry, it's just a hard question to answer. Um,
Do you think they're seeing it already in maybe the work you're showing because you
I
do
think so.
use it so much? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the first few jobs that I did, like I did a few freelance projects for the company that I work for now before I became full time, and I actually worked for them part time for quite a while too before I went full time. But like they were illustration based projects, so
Gotcha.
I was lucky enough to get into the design work from there.
That's great. That's great. Super cool stuff. All right. I'm going to pick the next one because I want to see
Go on.
Wildwood. This looks really cool.
So it's not
I love it. Uh-oh. A disclaimer.
it's not in there yet. Sorry.
Oh, it's not. Oh.
No, it's still a work in progress. So it's
It's
a Nordic
beautiful.
spa. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's still in the process. I was, even the branding itself, I'm just kind of like, oh, I kind of want to hold off until we're almost ready to, not even almost ready to open, maybe another couple of months so I can
Okay.
keep looking back at it and think, what would I change? Because I've got the opportunity to still change things.
Great.
Yeah, so
That's the
nothing's
plan.
been ordered yet. We've got construction fencing up that's been designed, but apart from that, it's all digital. So yeah, I always find that I look back on work, like even a couple of months later, and think I could have done it better, and that's what I'm
Oh,
concerned about.
yeah. We all do that, right? Yeah. But if this is your personal website, I think some of the time, and I've talked to even some very heavy hitter design agencies, their case studies might not be exactly what the client chose. They
Okay.
will add to it. They will take away if there's something in there that maybe, again, it's your chance to show the work. So change them up a little bit if you need to.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's because, like, right, you're going to build this thing probably 6 months, 7 months after it's done, and you're building a case study for your site. You might have some new ideas or find something didn't really work as successful. That's we all go through that, I think.
Yeah, totally. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
So make it your own. That's the best one. All right. What's next? Should we go to the merch here or Super Angel? Because I would love to see either one of these. What do you got?
You choose, you choose. I'm easy. I like
Let's
Super
go
Angel,
here.
I
All
think.
right. Okay, we'll look at
Yeah,
it too.
no,
I
that's
love
okay.
it. Yeah. Oh, this is
So
great.
I have a couple of. I used to live in Japan for a while, actually. But
Gotcha.
so we have some friends who have a lodge in Myoko, or two actually. But they asked me to design some merch for them, and we landed on the one with a horse. So apparently, there's in winter you can sometimes see a horse on the side of the mountain. It's pretty
Yeah.
random, but pretty cool. And yeah, the one on the left there, that's the actual accommodation that they've got.
Beautiful. It's like, why have one when you can have, three? It's
Totally.
like, I especially for merch, because like that would, to me, that would be really neat if someone is buying something. I think it would almost push you to buy one more than just one if there's a cool
Gotta
variety.
collect them,
And
right?
yeah, you got to collect them. Exactly. They look great together as well. And like, I'm curious too, when you write your copy, what kind of things are you trying to say? How are you summarizing what you did in here to impress somebody?
So that's kind of what I struggle with as well because I am not very well written, and I
Okay.
have a hard time articulating what I actually want to say.
Yeah.
So I just kind of give a vague outline of what I did, or you know, like what's the reasoning behind what I did. Um,
That's great. I love here how you even have what's with the horse. Like, so you're being playful with it. And even from the very beginning, when you see your logo and the playfulness of it as well, I think that's setting an expectation that the copy is gonna have some connection to that as well, right? Have fun with the way you write the copy in a lot of these things.
yeah, like none of my work I feel is very like serious. So I
Hmm.
think it needs to come out in my portfolio that I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's really neat to see that. Again, this is a good one too, that if you ever need to expand more, you can obviously build a few more things. You could do like mugs and tote bags and some
Hmm.
other things to kind of like keep this thing alive, which is kind of fun.
Definitely. They've
Yeah,
actually asked me to do one for next year as well, so I'll be adding that one in soon.
that's really cool. I love it. It's really clean, really fun. All right, so then we want to go to Super Angel. That was the other one I think you had mentioned, right?
Yeah.
All right,
So
tell us about this one.
so sorry, my local ski hill, Sunshine Village. They were holding a contest for a new chairlift that they were installing, and they just wanted to promote the lift basically. So
Nice.
the brief was very open. There was no brief really. It was just like promote the chairlift. Um, can be anything to do with sunshine. So this is what I came up with.
I love it. I love the little eyes in the sun too, and the halo, which is great. Catching in on the angel a lot as
Hmm.
well. That's really cool. And then you did like three versions of it based on just the background color
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a little bit of swapping some of the stuff there, right?
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
I love that. I did see the
Just to give it
fingers
some
crossed here.
contrast.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah. So, oh, long story about this one, but came second in the end.
That's great. Really nice. I love that look. Very cool. All right.
Thank you.
Anything else? Do you have one that might have a lot of content, or are they all kind of in the same kind of length of
Rhythm and
case
Howl
study?
probably has more
Ooh,
content than the
okay, let's
others.
check it out. What a great name. Wow. Do you work in naming at all with some of the projects that
No, I
you've done?
don't. And
Yeah.
actually, so this is the sister restaurant to the Electric Wolf Cafe. So that's why the names are
Okay.
kind of similar.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I didn't have anything to do with the name.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So what were you given? The name, you kind of work on the identity a little bit and the
Yeah.
creative strategy?
Yeah, so I worked on the identity. So it was kind of a weird process because I was only part-time at the time when we were designing this when it started. So the actual word mark itself is not me. But then I designed a little like the wolf icon. I don't know if I've even pictured it there. But it's similar to what's
Let's
in that
see.
postcard on that right hand side.
Oh,
Um,
yes. There
yeah,
we
so
go.
just above it actually on that postcard, it's a little side part of the logo.
There we go.
but I don't use that variation of the logo very often, unfortunately.
Okay.
But yeah, so I did all the menus, I did all of the printed collateral, all of the ads, all of everything.
That's great. It's a good way to show it too. I like the anytime you break the kind of like if you got such a structured thing here and then
Hmm.
cropping things in that angle, I feel adds a bit of like it looks more dynamic as you go through, you know? That's really
Thank you.
neat. And then you got a little bit of the stuff here as well, which is awesome. And I'm assuming like do you get to continue to do things for them now or is it kind of a done deal and they have all of their assets?
Oh no, still doing
Yeah.
work for them. Like every now and again, we'll get the seasonal menu changes, postcard updates. I do ads pretty regularly, like print and web. Um, but yeah. So it's kind of ongoing.
That's great. I love it. That's great. All right, let's see. I want to check out this one here. The bottled cocktails. This looks so cool.
Thanks.
Tell me about the project.
Okay, so this is for the same restaurant, basically, like for the hotel that the restaurant's in. So it's yeah.
Gotcha.
Um, they were just an amenity really for the rooms. Originally they wouldn't go in the mini fridges, but I don't know if they're even still around. But I
Yeah,
really loved working on these labels. I think they're beautiful and um, they really like work well with the rest of the brand.
I like the vibe that it feels like something you would find in the room as like an accommodation. They don't feel like too retail. Like you wouldn't find them in like in the shop. It's more of this
Yeah,
complimentary, which I love the vibe of it, and how cool that would be to be in the room. And you know, you got this grizzly old fashioned ready to pour, right?
yeah. It's almost a souvenir as well because they're the mountains that are local,
Oh, that's
local
beautiful.
wildlife as well. Yeah.
That's great. And then again, another opportunity for you to show your illustration skills here. And it really is 80-90% of the design, you know?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Do you find is there a cool mix of being both a graphic designer and illustrator that you find interesting, or are there some challenges because it's such two different things? I can't illustrate if my life depended on it, right? And so I would hope that I could find some way of doing it. You know what I mean? What do you think?
I think I try and make things more illustration based so I enjoy them more. Like
Yeah.
I don't mind. Like I just know that I think I'm better at illustration than I am at design.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Oh,
I don't know.
I think you got a perfect mix. I really do.
Oh,
Like
thank you.
usually I see one skill wins out over the other. And I'm sure everybody watching will agree. I feel like there's a good like equal strength there because they come together so well. That's what was my I think my original question was more like, you know, seeing that you understand design is making you a better illustrator and seeing that you love illustration is making you a better designer.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely say that. And I also think like my background as an interior designer has influenced me a lot, in terms of aesthetics and just,
Yeah.
appreciating good design.
Yeah, I agree. That is such a huge help there as well. We could take a look at this one here. Okay, so your little brand standards for a brand here as well.
Yeah, so
Looks good.
they're a branding agency, who asked me to like they actually worked with the company that I work for now.
Okay.
But yeah, came to me for their guidelines and logo. And yeah, it was only a small project, but I think they've taken it and run with it, and it looks great. Their website's awesome.
That's really nice. I love when branding companies reach out to other people to brand because it's almost like it's the hardest thing to design for ourselves. I love going to somebody else and
It took me
getting that,
three
getting that.
years
Yeah.
to come up with my
Really?
logo, and it's just my
Oh my
name.
God. That's hilarious. So this is nice too. Just some highlighted kind of illustrations that you did.
Yeah,
That's
so these were
cool.
just Instagram highlight covers.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah.
idea. I love that. All right, let's go into the about me because I want to see. I don't know if I. Oh, I love that. You're keeping the same kind of attitude and the fun kind of like personality going there with the new that your little smile kind of there as well. That's great. That's awesome. Do you get much response or like when people have checked out your portfolio and your website before? What kind of response have you got from folks? I'm just
I'll
curious.
be honest, I only
Yeah.
really put this together in like November. So
Wow.
I
Okay.
don't think it's seen many eyes yet. Um,
Yeah.
it took me a long time to like just get my shit together and
Okay.
start.
Well,
I'm
this
a
is
bit of a
awesome.
procrastinator.
I love the way you say here, we might be a good fit. Reckon I might be a good fit, reach out. I'd love to hear more about it. And then you have a really good call to action there to kind of just make the connection. And I find that something like maybe some designers are a little reluctant to put on their site sometimes, is to kind of have that thing like, let's schedule a call or whatever it might be.
Hmm.
But, I think any site we go to, that's the thing we're looking for. If we're ready to make the next step, give us that clickable button, right?
Yeah,
I love that. That's
definitely.
really cool. That's awesome. And then you have your say hello. That's fantastic. Can we take a look at the
Yeah,
Instagram?
go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's go take a look. Very cool. Love that. So here you really specialize on illustration. Would you say
Hmm.
you're catering a little bit
Yeah, I
more
mean,
here?
I've been really trying to draw every day this year. So I
Nice.
don't post every day, but I try and, at least draw. And it's not always something connected to anything else. So it's, random bits
Yeah.
and pieces.
Gotcha. Ooh, that's really beautiful. I love that.
Thank you.
That's great. So I like how you show both the illustration and maybe the packaging that it's appearing on. That's kind of cool. Oh, this is awesome. Was this just a fun one to do, or
It was for a
how did you do
contest
this
as
one?
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
All
run
right.
a contest every year for artists to design their cans.
Yeah,
I didn't get anywhere, but I had a lot of fun drawing it.
that's great. It sounds like you really are open to that idea. Like, is that the first time you might have done a contest, or you do that? Do
Yeah.
you?
I just, I like to, sometimes I find it hard to decide what I'm going to do next. So if there's
Mhm.
something that I see and it's a contest, then I'll just do that. Like it's something to focus on and
Yeah,
just try something different.
I agree. I think we were talking about earlier about like putting yourself out there and like selling
Mm,
yourself a lot of times. That might be a cool little gateway into it. Just applying for one of these things or sending in something to a unique contest if you feel like you can really offer a cool suggestion or a really good concept. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
That's cool. Is it? It does give me a vibe that you've got a sense of outdoors and wilderness and things there. Are those traits you would say are you too?
Yeah, definitely. Like I live in a national park. So
Yeah. Okay. So you answered
hiking every
it.
summer, snowboarding in the winter, kayaking in
Beautiful.
summer. Yeah, yeah. Love being
That's
outside.
neat. That's great. Do you have any overall approach to your Instagram kind of like curation, or are you just enjoying it and putting things out there?
I tried for a minute to kind of curate things and keep them on the brand color, and then I found that I wasn't posting much at all. It was just a bit restrictive, and I just kind of stopped making the work because I don't know, didn't want to fit it to the framework that I'd chosen for myself, if that makes any sense.
Totally.
So I just thought, you know what, who cares? I'll just post what I want to post.
I love it.
Maybe it's
I
not the
think
right
that's
way
the
to
best
go,
way to
but
go. I think it's the best way. I think
I can delete things if I want to.
yeah, that's the other thing. I think a lot of people don't think about that. It's like it's the same thing as your portfolio. If there's something on there that doesn't need to be there any longer or whatever, or it doesn't kind of like play well with the other things, get it out, right? It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I never I kind of have that blockage too. Like I don't think that way. Like I think the only time I did that when I was trying to be consistent with posting three in a row, so it kind of makes
Hmm.
a row across. But now Instagram just ruined the
Oh, I
formatting
know.
of it, and it's all lost. It's just terrible.
Oh, so devastating. I was like, are you serious? Like, why now? Like, come on.
I'm kind of surprised. That was a huge thing, and I saw not just artists or designers, but anyone who like curated their site. It was kind of like, I'm a little shocked,
Yeah,
So
definitely.
maybe I'll come back, but
I don't know.
this is great. I'm so glad we were able to get a chance to look at this and see. I'd love to maybe end it by asking you a few questions about like what advice would you give to anybody who is just starting, like hasn't even made a proper website?
You just have to do it. Just like I don't know, make as much work as you can, pick the best out of it and go for it because there's never going to be a better time. You're never going to be completely happy with your work. I won't be. um, but you're always going to be growing. So you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And how about putting a personal brand together? What advice do you have there? Because I really think you've done a successful job with it. It feels you. What are some tips that you would love to share with anybody trying to or struggling to put that personal brand together?
So for me, I really had to just, because I wanted to go with the mild side and I just couldn't figure out how to visually represent that, like in a logo. And my husband suggested just use your name. And I'm like, I guess I could. And then I don't know, I think I was just playing around with it for a few hours and I got there. So
That's cool.
Just keep it simple.
Yeah. Did you ever consider going with more of a studio name, or were you always in line with just using your name?
I mean, I think further down the track I probably will,
Yeah.
depending on how I go freelancing. But yeah, so mild side would be a studio name, I think, for me, if I was to go that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
But I think at this point I'm just not there yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing too, where it's like just having. I know a few people that have studio names and they regret doing it now after maybe 5 or 6 years, and yet they built up a lot of equity with it. So they want to change it, but it feel like it would be not the right timing, right? You could lose some connections there. But then I know people that have their name and are dying to move to a studio name. So I think the grass is always greener.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been great, Stephanie. I love everything you've done here as well, and thanks for volunteering for this as well. I didn't want to make these critiques. I wanted to make them more a chance for you to kind of showcase your work and put it out there, and for everybody to start feeling more comfortable in presenting it and feeling confident. Right?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really
You
appreciate
got
it.
it. All right. Well, thank you so much again, guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be doing a few more in the upcoming months. There is a link that I will put into the show notes here. It will also include Stephanie's contact information and her website, so you can go take a look at it. And we have a form to submit for any portfolio reviews down the road. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Deeply graphic